are the steps for finding the different calculations for measures of variance that go with section 3.2. Number 1, there was a list of numbers 80, 80, 85, 90, and 95. Okay, we're going to find the mean first so that you can use it in the other formulas. The mean is like what we think of as average. So add up your 5 numbers, and we divide by 5 because there were 5. So add them up, and that equals 430. Divide by 5 equals 86. The range is the easiest one. Let's do that first. You take the highest number, 95, subtract the lowest, 80, and that equals 15. So the range equals 15. The population variance, part B, is that formula. So to the right, I have what each of those stands for. X is the numbers, or 5 numbers. Mu, the curly M, is the mean. Capital N is the number of numbers. Okay, this is for a population. Now, what does all that mean? Okay, the sigma, the thing that kind of looks like an E, that means to add. Okay, the order of operations, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, tells us to do what's inside parentheses first. Okay, so inside the parentheses, what does it say to do? X means the numbers minus the mean. That means we're going to take each of the numbers and subtract the mean. After you do parentheses, you do exponents. So the next step is to square those numbers. The sigma means to add, and then divide by n. So those are the 4 steps. Okay, so sigma squared, the lowercase sigma that kind of looks like an R, is that formula. So leave the sigma for now. What it means to do is to add up. You take each number and subtract the mean. Okay, so what's the first number? 80. Minus the mean we found at the top is 86. Plus, what's the next number? 80. So do another 80 minus 86. The third number is 85. So take 85 and subtract 86. We're subtracting 86 every time because that's the mean. The mean is the average. The fourth number is 90, so 90 minus 86. The last number is 95. 95 minus 86. Okay, there's a 5 on bottom because it is the number of numbers. Okay, so what's the next step? X minus the mean. So 80 minus 86, we do what's in the parentheses. Then do 80 minus 86. 85 minus 86, 90 minus 86, and 95 minus 86. So do each of those subtractions. Now we're going to do the square. What does square mean? Times itself. Okay? A negative times a negative equals a positive. So that's why each of those are positive. 6 times 6 equals 36. 6 times 6 again is 36. The negative times a negative equals a positive. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 4 equals 16. 9 times 9 equals 81. Okay, so we've done the exponents. Take each number minus the mean. Square means to do that times itself. Do what's in the parentheses first. Now we're going to add those together. So we're going to add 36 plus 36 plus 1 plus 16 plus 18. That equals 170. And then divide by 5, which equals 34. That is our answer to the population variance. Part C, the sample variance. It is very much the same except for what you divide by. Okay, the symbol for the mean is different just because we're talking about a sample. Sample variance is S squared. So the X minus X bar, the X bar means the mean. So these are the same numbers, so that those first two lines are the same, except for the denominator. N, little n means how many numbers are in a sample, but this formula has n minus 1. So in the denominator, we have 5 minus 1 instead. Okay, so the only difference here is going to be our denominator. 5 minus 1 equals 4. So the rest of the calculations are the exact same, except you divide by 4. So S squared equals 42.5. Okay. Now, the standard deviation, you just take the square root of the variance. So, Part D, the standard deviation for a population is you take the square root of the population variance. The population variance was 34. The square root of 34 is 5.83095. I'm going to talk about rounding in a separate video. Part E, the sample standard deviation, is you take the square root of the variance, of the sample variance. Okay, the sample standard deviation, S squared, was 42.5. These are the two things that we found in parts B and C. So the sample standard deviation is S. Take the square root of 42.5 and you get 6.519202. I'm going to make a video on using your calculator in a separate video. And that is the end for example 1.